What if I told you that Donald Trump is a really unpopular president? Would that come as a surprise to you? I think if you pay attention to independent media, you would go, David, no, that's not a surprise. But if you paid attention to cable news and legacy and corporate media, you might be surprised to hear that Donald Trump is historically unpopular. The data says Trump is weak, failing, and deeply, deeply unpopular. We have new polls from the Associated Press, Gallup, Quinnipiac, Reuters, and The Economist. They all say the same thing. There's good news and bad news, and they're the same. It just depends on who you are. Trump's approval is in the toilet. If you don't like Trump, that's good. If you like Trump or you are Trump, then that's bad. Trump is in the 30s on economy and trade. On immigration, which was going to be his signature issue, he's underwater. Polling averages, brutal. This is not a popular president. Now think about Trump's biggest political moments lately. The failed Jimmy Kimmel ouster, total embarrassment. The indictment stunt against James Comey, total embarrassment. Legal experts say there's no case here. Even among Republicans, these cracks are obvious. And for some reason, the media and even Democrats are still to a degree talking about Trump as if he's strong. Now, I get it. Among the cult members, among hardcore MAGA, Trump is strong. The problem is that he's weak among everybody else. Democrats, disgusted. Independents, increasingly moving away. Skeptical Republicans don't like the guy. And so what we have to kind of hope for here is that what we are seeing in the poll numbers reflects some kind of national reckoning. Maybe more MAGA people are going to start pulling down the banners or the flags or whatever they have, and are going to finally face the business of making things right with the rest of us after they have cheerleaded one of the most destructive forces in American politics in a very long time. The only issue with that is that for the hard right, reckoning doesn't really mean reflection. Sometimes it means, oh, we've got to do more to bring force down upon our political enemies. And so the fear would be the ideal scenario. I'll lay out the ideal scenario and the scenario I'm more afraid of. The ideal scenario would be that the MAGAs would look around. They would say, Trump promised me anything and he gave me nothing. I'm doing worse than ever. We've got negative job growth going on, inflation, all these different things. He screwed up everything he said he was going to do. No peace deal in Russia, Ukraine, none of it. I'm going to go out there and say, hey, I made a mistake. That's like this beautiful pie in the sky idea. We know, based on sociology, psychology, cult dynamics, and just partisanship, that as equally likely would be that people say, man, everything's going wrong and the pressure's getting really big on Trump. I've got to go out there and target my political enemies. We need a civil war. We need more violence. I hope that that doesn't happen. But I worry that it might. Now, the problem in general, when countries get to the point where the U.S. is now, is that there's really no easy ethical fix for this. I've said before, when you have rapid sociocultural change in a country, it's usually happening in ways that are extremely authoritarian. If you look at the Cultural Revolution of China, for example, rapid changes in public sentiment and perspective, but it came at the end of an iron fist or the barrel of a gun or whatever you want to call it. And so we kind of also have to recognize, even if we are starting to see some kind of sea change, the only way for it to really happen quickly is by imposing authoritarianism on the country, which we are against. I'm an anti-authoritarian. So you've got to win the fight in the open. It's got to be persuasion. It's got to be politics. You can't take an authoritarian shortcut, even if you say that the ends would justify the means. I would argue the means aren't justified. Now, the irony is that the states screaming the loudest about supposed tyranny when it's a Democrat in office are the ones most dependent on federal dollars. You know, Kentucky gets $3.50 for every dollar it sends into Washington. Louisiana's got a 19% poverty rate and nearly 1 in 5 residents is on food stamps. And you go down the list, Oklahoma, West Virginia, Alabama. And so the question also becomes, when it comes to polling and the sort of geography of the United States, where is the point at which those red states will say, we're getting extra screwed? Because I always want to be super upfront. You know, My friends in California and Washington and Connecticut and Massachusetts and New York and Illinois and Maryland, they see what's happening nationally and are terrified by it. And to a degree, some of the things Trump does do affect blue states too. There's no doubt about it. But a lot of the people that are most disgusted with what's going on are sort of insulated from it by being in blue states with stronger social safety nets, better infrastructure, better education, better access to healthcare. And so at what point do the people really getting screwed by Trump finally say, hey, that's enough. There's no more of this. So the polls prove that Trump is weak. He's failing. He's clinging to a movement that is getting smaller and also getting more radical and more dangerous. Corporate media not doing a great job at explaining the dynamics of what's going on. When will we just start treating Trump as the failed president that he has already become, and that he is someone supported by an increasingly desperate and cultish minority? That needs to be the focus, I believe, combined with the No Kings protests and more of that sort of activism, because I think there's an opportunity here. Now, we're going to keep pushing. I hope you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. We're going to keep doing what we can, not just to build this show, but to really build a pro-democracy movement along with others in our cohort. I want you to be a part of it. The bigger we are, the weaker they become. So make sure you've liked the video, share it, hit that subscribe button.